Well, today is a very exciting day because we have some potentially huge updates around the development and potential reveal timing of Metroid Prime 4 to talk about, which of course has me very excited, as I'm sure that you guys could imagine. As most of you guys probably know, covering and discussing and theorizing and predicting things around the Metroid franchise, and of course, most specifically right now, Metroid Prime 4 is my favorite thing to do. It is what I feel like I was put on Earth to do. And pretty much the reason I even exist on YouTube anymore is really mostly to talk about Metroid. As much as I like talking about all things gaming and of course mostly covering Nintendo, this is what I live for, man. This is what I wake up every day waiting to be able to talk about. And so I do want to give full credit to my good friend and fellow YouTuber Super Metal Dave 64 on his channel. He, as far as I can see, is the person who discovered and found and has been discussing these very interesting updates. And I don't even think we can really classify these as rumors. This isn't really rumor territory. This is stuff that he really found through his own sort of investigative work. So major props and credit to him, and I'll kind of reference that throughout the video, and I will of course link his video below. You really need to watch it. I don't want to necessarily copy and go over every exact detail he laid out, because I think it's important for you to check out his video as kind of the source for all of this. But I do still of course want to dissect the main bullet points that we can take away from what he pointed out in his video and kind of add my own spin and my own interpretation as a super huge Metroid fan, which you guys of course know that I am. Naturally, I want to remind you guys that I am hoping to cross 25,000 subscribers sometime in the near future. Of course, if you're looking for Metroid content, I feel like I'm one of the best places to come for that. But in general, video game and Nintendo and Metroid discussion is what I do. So if this is your first video, then I certainly hope you consider subscribing. Or if you've been watching for a while and not subscribed, then I hope this video finally convinces you to do so. So I am about 2 days late to this story and these updates that, again, really did originate from Super Metal Dave on his YouTube video, and I will remind you again to please go check it out, not only because the information and everything he uncovered and talks about is really valid and interesting and is really the source for my discussion today, but if you just want to really soak in some beautiful HD, like AI upscaled Metroid Prime 2 gameplay, then that's another reason to do it. He has a super beefy computer. He knows how to do all of his mods and these graphical upgrades and all of these things. He's talked about it before at his channel. And his video just features a bunch of beautiful footage of Metroid Prime 2 running on his PC, where he's playing through Sanctuary Fortress. And it's just gorgeous and just kind of fun to watch that, as well as listen to the updates of his story. So those are two main reasons to go check out his video as the source for my conversation. Anyway, let's get into the goods of what's actually happening here. And what seems like is happening is there has been some evidence via a few websites, one of them being LinkedIn, which has very famously been a great place for a lot of folks to find information about games and development studios and franchises that might be having worked on. And then also another company that seems to be one of the vendors or graphics, I don't even know what to call it, because you guys know I am not a tech-savvy guy when it comes to this. But they're an external vendor that seems to be providing some of the development tools specific for retro studios, and of course, the only thing we think that would be is for Metroid Prime 4. So again, I want to go quickly through this so as not to just take all of the same details that Dave shared and actually give you guys a reason to go and check out his video where he goes over this more thoroughly. But the main bullet points of this is there is a fellow that was discovered named Edwin Atwell on LinkedIn who has worked as a game tester before for Call of Duty games and is currently working for Retro Studios game testing Metroid Prime 4. Now, I had to take this screenshot from Dave's video because when I go to his profile, Edwin Atwell's profile on LinkedIn, I see that it's no longer active. I get this screen right here that says it's basically just not an active profile. This page doesn't exist. So I think there's a chance that this person, Edwin, maybe had deleted his LinkedIn profile after Dave's video, potentially. That's a conspiracy theory, but it's no longer active as far as I could see, and I tried searching his name and I couldn't find him. Maybe Dave's link is broken and maybe my search didn't uncover the right person, so I could be wrong. But following Dave's link, this is what I get. So I think this guy might have deleted his profile. But here is Dave's screenshot of his profile, and it mentions, you know, like I said, he was a game tester. He worked on Call of Duty Vanguard and Modern Warfare 2, and he is now working on Metroid Prime 4. It says that right here. Now, again, full credit to Dave, you know, looking at this screenshot from his video from Edwin's profile that I no longer have access to Dave was able to uncover that, we have Edwin's time as a game tester on Call of Duty Vanguard and Modern Warfare 2 going from early on in the respective years to November of that respective year. And November, of course, is when those two games released. So he stopped playtesting when each of these Call of Duty games released in November of 2021 and 22. When we look at Metroid Prime 4, looks like Edwin had started working on, or game testing, I should say, Metroid Prime 4 in March of last year, so almost a year ago, and up to present, before his profile basically was blinked out of existence. So that kind of shows us that as far as we know, he might still be game testing the game, Metroid Prime 4, going back to March. And if he notoriously stops working on a game when it releases, which makes sense, then does that mean that the game is close to being revealed or released? Another important detail that Dave uncovered was a fellow named Bryce Zandro, if I'm saying his last name correctly. And he works for a company called Next Gen Dreams, who, like I mentioned at the beginning, is basically a vendor, an external vendor, providing some development tools to retro studios. We can see Next Gen Dreams apparently provides some of these tools to multiple companies we have listed here, including Arcane and Supermassive, which is very interesting, and retro studios. So this is where I will remind you, I'm not smart enough to understand what a lot of these companies do and what kind of tools they may be providing to these companies, I should say, or to retro studios. There's a lot of different things that goes into developing games, and man, that is not my business. That is not my thing. I know heavy metal music and drumming, and I know the industry that I work in for my career, and I know video games as the end result, and analyzing the industry. I am not smart enough to tell you what this stuff means, other than it's a company providing tools to help retro develop Metroid Prime 4. So essentially, looking at all of this information that Dave seems to have uncovered and shared through his video, we've got somebody who we know is playtesting Metroid Prime 4 and has traditionally worked and playtested on games prior, right up until their release. And we also have now a confirmed studio who's working to provide graphical and development tools to retro studios for Metroid Prime 4, which, as far as we can tell, before this information came out, no one really knew. This is very exciting. It feels like some real solid information, and potentially, based on this playtesting information from this fellow Edwin, if he even is real, given the fact that I can't seem to find his profile, and it seems like maybe he deleted it after Dave had talked about it in his video. Again, that's just a conspiracy. I could be wrong, and it'll be really silly if maybe one of you guys is able to find his profile, whereas I couldn't. But I use LinkedIn often, and I didn't find him. I found a different Edwin in Texas, but not this exact fellow. But regardless, these two new pieces of information are very exciting. So is this showing us that we might be on the cusp of a reveal for Metroid Prime 4? And it's tough because, yes, I absolutely think that this is all evidence showing that it is coming sometime soon. But we have to remember, and I've been discussing this for a long time, I've already been anticipating the reveal of Metroid Prime 4 probably in the first half of 2024. And I think that there's a chance that a lot of what we're seeing here could be lining up with that same time frame as well. Because I like to believe, and this is just my personal theory, this isn't based on any leaks or rumors or anything that anyone is pretending to share as fact when we don't know that it's fact. I think Switch 2 is coming out at the end of the year. I think Metroid Prime 4 is very likely going to be a launch day game for the Switch 2, which means I would expect both Switch 2 and Metroid Prime 4 to release near the end of the year. They could surprise us and release it in the next 4 months, let's be real. They could do that, but I still don't think that's going to happen. I'm leaning more towards the back half of the year, in which case Nintendo would need anywhere from, 4 to 6 or 7 months lead time to promote both their new hardware and reveal and promote Metroid Prime 4. We can't forget, Metroid Dread had a 4-month cycle from the reveal in June of 2021 to the release in October of 2021. That was only 4 months. That's all they needed to have the biggest and best-selling Metroid game of all time. Metroid Prime 4, if all of this comes true the way I'm speculating and guessing, they could be tying in this massive marketing push for their brand new next-gen hardware and a massive marketing push for Metroid Prime 4. You give that 4 to 7 months worth of time if they were to reveal Metroid Prime 4 in, let's say, the next 3 or 4 months from right now. That is perfect. That's all Nintendo needs to do. And if we take this stuff about Edwin being a playtester at face value, we know he's been playtesting it starting back in March last year, based on the LinkedIn profile that I can no longer seem to access. And, you know, a year's worth of playtesting time. He previously was only doing 6 to 8 or so months on the Call of Duty games before those released. I mean, what if he's like done playtesting the game in the next couple of months? And that means that they're going to be revealing that trailer and that first look at the gameplay sometime soon. Maybe in the first Nintendo Direct of the year. Maybe in like the spring Nintendo Direct if we get one like in the month of June or something. I would hope that they would reveal Metroid Prime 4 before June. But it's tough to say because, you know, we're all theorizing on what's happening with Next Gen and Metroid Prime 4 this year. In my last video about Mario, I went on and continued to theorize about another 3D Mario game that I also think could be a Switch 2 launch title or be tied into the Switch 2 in some way. So how much time does Nintendo think that they need to prime the world for next-gen hardware and to prime the world, no pun intended, for Metroid Prime 4? I think, like I already said, they're looking at probably 4 to 7 months for both of those things. And so it just leads me to believe when I look at this information about next-gen Dreams and Edwin doing his playtesting for Metroid Prime 4, I feel like the reveal of Metroid Prime 4 is sometime very, very soon. Now, the only thing I'll say here is that what happens if we don't see Metroid Prime 4 revealed in the next couple of months? Let's say it's not revealed like in the first half of the year, and they wait until the back half of the year, or even, heaven forbid, next year. Let's say I'm totally wrong and it's a 2025 game, which I do not think is the case, but whatever that means, if we don't see it revealed in like the first half of 2024, does that like negate what we're talking about here, this information from LinkedIn and this Next Gen Dreams partner with Retro Studios? In my opinion, no, it wouldn't negate anything. I mean, maybe Edwin has previously only done these 6 to 8 month stints on Call of Duty, but maybe Metroid Prime 4 specifically just calls for a longer period of playtesting time. And maybe part of that could be the fact that if it is going to be releasing on the next-gen console, whether it's cross-gen or next-gen only or whatever's happening there, if new hardware is part of that, then I could certainly see it being a situation where even more playtesting time is needed. And so maybe someone in Edwin's position and other people doing the playtesting on the game just need to spend a lot more time making sure that the game is in a playable state. At this point, it really comes down to how long the guy is even working on the game, right? And we don't have that information. When Dave found and shared it, it said he was playtesting Metroid Prime 4 from March 2023 to present, which is essentially right now as far as we know. And, you know, when comparing to the Call of Duty games, we had the benefit of hindsight because he was able to have listed when he stopped playtesting those games because those games released, right? Metroid Prime 4 hasn't been revealed, let alone released. So we don't really have an ending date to kind of look at Edwin's playtesting time on Metroid Prime 4 and make a comparison and a more educated guess. We're really just going on speculation based on what has been found as what we essentially would take as a fact. I mean, people can make fake LinkedIn profiles, but I don't think that was the case, even though I can't seem to locate it now. We don't really know what his actual playtesting time on the game is, but it certainly is a great indication about the active development and playtesting going on with the game, and the fact that we have somebody that we know has been playtesting the game for around a year. It's a good sign that, you know, based on his previous 10 years working on Call of Duty games up to their releases, that again, we really might be looking at the release and reveal of the game sometime in the near future. So if it doesn't get revealed at the beginning of the year, I still don't think it negates any of what we're seeing here. I wish I knew more and understood more about game development and the tools a company like Next Gen Dreams can provide to a company like Retro Studios for developing Metroid Prime 4. Again, I'll refer you to the source video so you can kind of take in some of what Dave talks about because he knows that stuff a lot more than I do, and plenty of other people who would talk about this stuff also understand these things much more than I do. I just find it to be interesting. It's neat to see a confirmed partner working with Retro on Metroid Prime 4 because it just makes the game feel that much more real and tangible. And I say that as somebody who's never fallen into this weird trap of other people online where they start, you know, theorizing that Metroid Prime 4 is canceled and it's going through like the worst case of development hell ever and we're never going to see the game, or it's still another 5 years off. There's a lot of people out there spinning that kind of negative like jargon surrounding Metroid Prime 4 like it's canceled or it's 5 years away. And like, no, that's definitely not the case. Nintendo has showed us that they care about this game. They were willing to scrap it. They lost all the money and development time on that original version to make the best version they can. I do not think that anything is really going wrong behind the scenes. I think they're just taking their time. And if it is meant to release on the next-gen console, then that means that much more time needs to go into it because they're working on new hardware. They're maximizing the power of that hardware. It's going to look so crazy beautiful. We've got people who have worked on franchises like Tomb Raider and God of War and Call of Duty. Edwin here is a great example of that. You know, I mean, people who've worked on these kinds of franchises working with Retro on Metroid Prime 4, they just need to take their time developing this game, and they're not going to rush it out. That's the only thing that's happening. This game is not canceled, and I certainly have never believed that. But I can't deny that information like this does, like I said, make it feel more real. And so I take this all as good news. We're in a wonderfully exciting time. I think 2024 is just going to be a great year for Nintendo, which means it's going to be a great year for gaming, okay? Because again, I love and play and enjoy all gaming consoles and platforms and franchises, even though I really only talk about and enjoy discussing Nintendo on my channel. I love it all, and I play it all. I'm currently playing through Alan Wake 2 right now and continually blown away. That game is fantastic. But I think as far as Nintendo in 2024, I mean, yeah, I think we're getting next-gen Nintendo, and I think the next big Metroid game is coming, the sequel to my favorite gaming franchise, to my favorite game of all time, the original Metroid Prime 4. This information found and shared by Dave is incredibly exciting, and I take it all as good news. We still don't 100% know what it's going to lead to. We can take it as evidence that the reveal is coming soon, but it's still not fact. So that's all I want to say about it, but I'm really glad this stuff was discovered. I really enjoyed watching his video, and I hope that my kind of spin and interpretation and discussion around these details was interesting and helpful to you guys as well. And so, again, I want to continue to give a shout out to Dave as the source of this and his really great video. It's only about 10 minutes long, so I do hope you guys take the time and go and check it out as well. It's already had a lot of traction and attention, which I'm really glad for because the video deserves it. It's a really great video. So this is what I think. Metroid Prime 4 just might be afoot, you guys. Maybe we're going to see this game revealed in the next couple of months, and it is very exciting to me. So talk about it below. Once again, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Help me cross that 25,000 subscriber milestone. Thanks, and I'll see you guys next time on another video.